What's good, tribe? You know? Welcome to another video, y'all. How y'all doing, man? So, I'm scrolling on the wonderful world of Instagram, and there was a question a young lady proposed to a random guy on the streets. And the question was, and the guy's Caucasian, and the question was, would you rather have your son be conservative or gay? Now, this is obviously not a topic about politics or whatever, but the man's answer is what prompted me to want to do this video. And obviously, you can tell we're going to look into lesson 16 of my Become a Better Father program, which is in the description box below. There's a free download. There's also the entire program if you want to follow along as I read from my program. The first module is 10 lessons, and then you want the entire program. It's that is in the description box, but that's going to cost $97. The man's response to the young lady's question was he would never have a gay son. And that's where my problem strikes at. Because instead of, as a father, instead of saying, if my son came to me with any kind of concern, with any kind of whatever that he was struggling with, I would be there for him. His response was, I would never have a gay son. Which is unfortunate, because that's still your child, right? And so it got me to thinking, what kind of conversation would that be? So think about it, right? Caucasian father, or the white father, who's really, conservative and has these really conservative views. Sons come to him and says, Dad, I'm gay. I would never have a gay father. Or I never have a gay son. Imagine what that conversation had to look like as a child for that boy who is struggling with his identity. Like most children, most of us did. Trying to figure out how we fit in the world. Having that conversation with your child at that age, especially when they're older, is a different conversation when we create the safe space to have the conversation in the beginning. That man inadvertently created a rift between him and his son that didn't even exist. Let's say the young lady's question is now is valid. The guy goes home, finds out his son is actually gay. Finds out his son is actually living a life that he had no idea of. Because as parents, I have adult children. I don't know what my children do when they're in their own homes doing their own thing. I have no idea. I don't know. No parent does. No mother or father. We don't know. So then they make the claim, well, I would never have a gay son. My son comes to me and says, yeah, well, guess what, Dad? I'm gay. Now I'm having a different kind of conversation. So let's get into the lesson, man. For those who have purchased the actual entire program, we're going to start on page 66, lesson 16, entitled Creating a Safe Space for Open Conversation. Fostering trust so your child feels heard and understood. Let me read on. Introduction. One of the greatest gifts a father can give his child is a safe space to talk openly without fear of judgment or punishment. Many children grow up feeling like they can't talk to their father, whether out of fear, shame, or the belief that he won't listen or understand. When this happens, they turn elsewhere for advice, validation, and connection. That's the part of the conversation that then transforms your son into your enemy. Your daughter into your enemy. Again, in that particular video on Instagram, it was about a man, what would the conversation be if his son was gay or conservative? It's an odd conversation, an odd kind of question. But think about that, right? His son comes to him and says, yeah, Dad, I am gay. Oh, no son of mine. And then we know how the conversation will go. No son of mine is X, Y, and Z. There are so many young people, men and women, so many young people who struggle with trying to figure out who they are. They're adults. There's a young lady, she's 40. She doesn't look 40. She looks mixed. And she's crying on Instagram or crying on TikTok. I've seen it on Instagram. She's crying on TikTok, and she's 40 years old, and she's realizing she don't know anything. She don't know how to do anything. She doesn't really know how to navigate life. Where was her parents at? Like, you never sat down with your mom and dad and discussed life at all? And then if your child doesn't feel safe talking to you, where do they turn to? For advice. We read that. Where do they turn to advice, validation, and connection? Where do they go? 3 of the most important things your child needs from you is advice, is validation, and is connection. Young ladies who aren't verbally communicative with their fathers try to connect with men outside of the home who don't always have their best interests at heart. So now we have children, or we have the baby girl who runs to a man who tells her all the right things. We know. Like we ain't in. I used to be from the streets. I know. I used to be like, man, she falling for that bull. Man, oh, she listened to that. Did her daddy ever tell her different? What if she wouldn't have told her dad, I like X, Y, and Z? No, you don't. No, you don't like that. Now you've actually pushed your baby away. Now there is no connection. And we know for a fact, young women, young girls, before they are women and grow into women, they crave connection with their father. You know, oftentimes my daughter would tell me that my granddaughter is she's really connected to me. And it's not because, any other thing other than trying to create that connection as as a grandfather to my granddaughter. I want her to know, even at the age she is now, she's 18 months old. Even at 18 months old, I want that instilled in her that grandpa is a safe space. When you're dealing with something, you can't go to your mom, you can't go to your dad, you can come to grandpa. You can go to grandma. And have that safe space be for her. So when she starts looking for connection, when she starts looking for validation, when she starts looking for advice, she isn't going everywhere else to get it. And creating that safe space for your child to have that conversation with you, even if it's a hard conversation. Again, in the instance of the young lady on Instagram, let's say the son and daughter is gay. What do you do with that conversation? You may not want to accept it. I can't help the fact that my child likes who they likes, love who they love, into what they into. Having a hard conversation, if I'm not ready for it, or if I'm not open to have the conversation, then you push away your child. It is imperative, gentlemen, that we allow our children to sit down with us and tell us the things that the world may not fully understand. I used to tell and this is the truth, I would tell my son, and I would tell Kelsey and Steven all the time. I tell them, look, when we're talking and you get pissed, you can get pissed at me. Please get pissed. Talk to me. Because I didn't want them to go anywhere else and get advice from anyone else that wasn't going to be as healthy advice as their father was going to give them. Baby, talk to me. She would get angry, right? So when she would get upset, she would lash out at my wife, right, her mother. I tell her, no. You can lash out at me. Don't do that to your mama. No. I'm here for that reason. I'm the puncher bag. That's my job. And then most people will say, that's I don't like that. Well, it's true. Because if you don't do it with me, you go to the world and do it, and the world's like, no, I don't play that. The conversation looks completely different. From a father to his daughter, my daughter to the world. Yes, that's my job for you. Okay, now let it get all that shit out of you. Are you done now? Okay, now we finna talk. Now we finna have a lesson. Now you finna learn something. So now I've broken down the wall of my daddy, I can't talk to my father because he's a narrow-minded bigot, knock that wall down to I can talk to my father. He's at least willing to have the open conversation about whatever the topic is. And a lot of these fathers lose contact with their children because they don't realize it's that conversation that every child needs. He or she needs you to be open to at least listen to the conversation. When they leave home, fathers who are closed off to their children, when your child leaves home, that connection they're looking for from anyone, which is dangerous. And then we wonder why our children are doing the shit that they're doing. Well, I can't believe this and I can't believe that. Where's their home a place to have safe, open conversations? I'm struggling with my emotions. I'm struggling with my sexuality. I'm struggling with whatever the child is struggling with. Was their home a safe space to have that conversation? And I would argue that 90% of the time it's not. Most children are raised by their mothers, and we know the stats with that. That's unfortunate. Most children don't have a connection. Most children raised by their mothers don't have a connection with their father. There is no advice being taken from the father at all. And then we see him in the streets and we wonder what's wrong with society. No, what did you do wrong, sir? And I get pushback from that. I do, man. I get pushback from that because I hold men accountable. I hold men accountable before I hold women accountable. Now, let me read on. As a father, your role is to be the first person your child comes to with their struggles, questions, and concerns. Say that one more time. As a father, your role is to be the first person your child comes to. Excuse me. Getting a little dry. Your child is the first person. As a father, your role is to be the first person your child comes to with their struggles, questions, and concerns. And if they can't come to you, man, who they supposed to go to? Then they start looking for outside validation. We know what that looks like. If they don't feel safe talking to you now, they won't come to you later. It's never too late to build this trust. Well, it could be. It could be. Depending upon what you do, how you do it, and when you do it, gentlemen, the conversation could be too late. Your son or daughter turns 18, 19, 20 years old, 21, 22. Now I'm not the time to have the conversation. Well, I want to apologize. No. The child at that point is becoming who they are. They're trying to find themselves. And as a result of finding themselves, they figure out, my father is incompetent and I can't trust him. And then you lost out. You've missed out now. When you had the opportunity to sit them down and talk with them, grow with them, and become the kind of father they can trust to have those hard conversations with, you passed that time up. Now it's too late. Now, could you at some point reconnect and hopefully as adults, right, become closer? You could possibly do that. But it depends on what you do in the beginning. If you never, ever try to sit down and have a hard conversation with your children, they're going to resent you. They are, gentlemen. So let's say so now we look at we look at the effects of that. Well, how do I have the hard conversation? That's what we're going to get into next. Actually having a conversation and the benefits to having a hard conversation. But how do we get to that point? How do we actually have the conversation? Before we get into that, let's look at the benefits of having a hard conversation. Section 2 is called Core Teachings. And each lesson has about 4 or 5 sections to it. So section 2, core teachings. A child who feels safe talking to their father will grow up with confidence, emotional intelligence, and a strong decision-making skills. With strong decision-making skills. Here's how to create that environment. Because remember, now we our children are older now. We trying to figure out like how do I go about making or having a hard conversation. So let's say you're someone who hasn't had the hard conversation. You're trying to figure out how to create the environment to have the hard conversation. Number 1, listen without judgment. Full stop. Full stop. When your child talks to you, I tell my children that. Especially my baby girl, right? Early on in her life, she struggled with her emotions. Tell my baby girl, baby, I'm your punching bag. I'm your verbal punching bag. Let all that shit out on me. And she would, right? And she would get clear-minded afterwards, and she would come to me, and she would cry, oh, I could tell her, baby, you good. That's my job. My job is to listen to you, to take in whatever you're saying to me, and not judge you for it. I'm going to give you some harsh advice that's going to serve you, but I'm not going to judge you for the things you're telling me, right? Let's continue reading on. Number 1, listen without judgment. When your child shares something personal, avoid immediate criticism, shock, or punishment. I always told my children, if you tell me the truth, I won't punish you. I will be pissed. I will 100% be pissed, but I won't punish you for telling me the truth. But be truthful with me. Now, if I have to punish you, then I'm going to punish you. But if you tell me about it, the punishment will be less. I'm going to punish you. That's without a question. However, I won't punish you for telling me the truth. I'll punish you for the action. And children, we believe as parents, a lot of parents anyway, believe that, we have to be these super soft people. No, your child needs structure and discipline. And children hate structure and discipline, but they need it. In their soul, they know they need it. They don't want it. They don't think it's even valuable. I tell my children all the time, like my daughter now, who is a mom herself, I now tell her, like, baby, you understand now? Right? They understand they need that. They need to be told those harsh things. Right? Not from a place of criticism. Not from a place of criticism or the added shock value. Not from that place, right? Or being punitive with your words. No. But giving them what they call constructive criticism. Hey, I know you just told me X, but how about this? Let's read on. If they fear being judged, they will hide things from you. Instead of reacting, respond with, tell me more about that. What? I can't fucking believe. We know those fathers. We know those fathers. Instead of saying, you know what? Okay, I'm listening. Go ahead, tell me more. And not tell me more so I can punish you for it. Tell me more because I want you to feel open to talk to me. We'll go to number 2. This could be the last one. This video is getting long. Validate their feelings. Every child wants to feel understood, not dismissed. Y'all seen it? People telling their children, girl, go and get up out of here. Completely dismissing whatever they're feeling. Completely dismissing their emotions. Completely dismissing the fact that they may have an issue. And you're just like, I don't want to talk about it. So whatever they're feeling with, whatever emotion they're dealing with or feelings they have, they can no longer talk about it because you've now said it's not important. That same shit women would tell their children, oh, children should be heard, or what's that? My mother used to tell me. My mother used to tell me children should be seen and not heard. That's horrible. Gentlemen, if you're someone who does that, stop that shit immediately. Children should be seen and not heard? You understand what that means? So your baby girl is in school, and on the way to school, a little boy touches her. Right? And he does it in a way that really disturbs her. And she comes home, she's upset. And because you all in your emotions, you know, you've been talking to so and dealing with yada yada and X, Y, and Z. And now your daughter comes home and says, I want to talk to you. Girl, go on and get up out of here. I'm busy. You know, and then you get mad at him. So now the baby doesn't know who they need to talk to, so they go to their friends. Oh, he did what? Oh, girl, X, Y, and Z. So now the girl, instead of her going, I need to protect my body, her friends will tell her, girl, yeah, and get him to do this and this and this and this, and we'll end up doing this. The young man ends up, life been taken because the situation went totally out of hand when all your baby needed was for you to sit down and go, baby, tell me, what's going on with you? Let me put all my shit aside, because that's your job as a father, if you don't know that. Whatever you're dealing with, toss that out the window, put all that shit to the side, and listen. Without what? Without what? Criticism and judgment. Yeah, baby, what you got? Let me finish reading that part and then we're going to go end this video. Instead of saying, that's not a big deal, try, I see this matters to you. Let's talk about it. And lastly, even if their feelings seem small to you, that's huge. Even if your child's feelings seem minute, right? Girl, what you crying over? Just a dress? But her grandma bought her that dress 3 years ago. Her grandma's no longer here. Big issue. That little bow she got from her boyfriend who dumped her, and she's emotionally attached to it, but it doesn't mean anything. It seems small to you, but that's no. And why? Why is that? Yes, I recognize that this is special to you. I recognize that this means something to you. But I want you to, relative to how things are, baby, this isn't that important. I don't want you to, and break it. My daughter had an issue with that. One time she had a MP3 player that her brother took and broke, right? It was the small one back in the day. And she was devastated about it. She thought, in the world was here. And I used to always tell her, it's okay to be mad about your things, baby. It is. But you don't get to just say nothing else matters and only your stuff matters. Right? Why did he do X? Why did your brother break it? What happened? Well, I said something made him upset. Okay, well, should you have said that? Probably not. Okay. And I would never take away from the fact that her brother broke her stuff. Never. But it was having her understand that relative to the grand scheme of things, your brother breaking your MP3 player isn't the end of the world. What is the end of the world is having you hate your brother. That can't be a thing. Go to her brother. What you need to understand, bro, is that's her stuff. Keep your hands to yourself. She get mad at you, put her, and y'all start fighting over it because you prompted that. Keep your hands to yourself. Go back to my daughter. Baby girl, I'll get you another one. But I need you to understand something. I will pull her back. And I wouldn't say it was a little something. Girl, that little bullshit, I don't care about that because it mattered to her. So in this conversation, it matters to me. But it matters to me in a way that doesn't take away from the fact that she needs to learn a lesson. But it matters to me because I need to have her understand why it's not that big of a deal. It matters, but it's not that big of a deal when you start creating a wedge between you and your brother. I'm going to end this right here, man. We're going to start up lesson 16, part 2, probably tomorrow. All right, I'm out, tribe. Peace.